This is Beyond the Bench with Nick Morgasen and Nick Fodera. A look at sports and pop culture from beyond common sense. The show that constantly goes off the rails and might never get back on. When you don't belong, you're a bench warmer. On this show, there's no riding the bench. This is Beyond the Bench on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Beyond the Bench on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network, episode 46. For Nick Fodera, I'm Nick Morgasen. We have a lot to get into this week, so I'll try to make this very quick. Follow us on social media on the Podcast Network at ETB Network. Follow us on Twitter at Beyond the Bench 1. Follow us on Facebook, Beyond the Bench 1. Same thing. Instagram, same thing. Also, follow us on the Podcast Network on TikTok as well. Yeah, Nick, this is going to be a fun week. I was looking forward to this week.
Yeah, this was already going to be a packed week, but then breaking news reared its ugly head again. And, yeah, which means we've got even more stuff to get into, but, so let's get right into it. So, do we start on the heavy stuff, or do we move to that?
I just want to say one thing before we get to the topics. So, We're very transparent on this podcast network, right? Would you say so? So
we try to be.
So one of our guys who I have a lot of respect for, Nick and I were talking about this over the last week or so, would you say? Our guy Kyle Herschel from the Herschel Show. And I just want to say, one, I'm glad he's finally getting help that he needs.
Yeah.
Just so people know, he put up a post on his Hearst Show social media accounts saying that he had a little situation going on and he was getting the help he needs, which, by the way, respect for making the post, because most people will not talk about their situations. So it kind of caught me off guard, but I'm not saying he did anything wrong. Let me preface that first of all. But I'm just glad he's getting the help, and Nick, who saw the post I posted up after he posted his post, him and I worked at the fatal radio station that I don't mention on here anymore
except a couple times when you're mad.
When I'm mad, but for 4 years, that's where I met Kyle. We were in the trenches of that radio station.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I know if when Kyle watches this, just know that everybody at the Empty the Bench Podcast Network is behind you 100%. I mean, we're so proud of you for making this step, and we hope you feel better soon.
And by the way, that takes balls to say you're going to a therapist. By the way,
it does. In as much as this country has a problem with mental health and is just now starting to admit that we have a collective problem with mental health, meaning that we're starting to realize that we got problems. And I say we, not you, because again,
no, I have it, you have it.
Yeah, present company included. So
right, we all have it in some way, shape, or form. Anyone who says that they haven't dealt with any mental health issues, you're not human.
And our society, I mean, the way our society is kind of set up nowadays, it's like, oh, just put a Band-Aid on it and just drink yourself into a stupor and then wake up in the morning and maybe you'll forget you have it, maybe. And that's not healthy.
Oh, and by the way, people who say, like, well, just go have a drink or drink it off, that leads to more vices and more problems.
That's what people did in the 50s. They didn't go to therapy, so they drank until they couldn't feel feelings anymore, or they took drugs, or they beat somebody up, whether it was a wife, a child, or their significant other. So doing all these things to run away from the fact that maybe you should go to therapy.
Yeah, and I said this to you, and I'm sure the same way. I'm the biggest mental health advocate there is out there, that if you need help, just go get the help. Don't hide behind the issues. I know it's hard.
Yeah, we don't need any macho posturing.
I know it's hard. Like Nick, you were telling me, it's hard to talk about your health issues, mental health issues.
It's hard to talk about it because depression and anxiety, it does do that to you, where you feel like you're that no one else cares, that no one else understands your issues, and it makes you feel guilty for kind of dragging them into it, even though it could be the opposite in many, many different ways, and a lot, it makes you, it poisons you against the helping hands that are trying to lift you out of this morass, I should say.
I mean, everyone is there for everybody in this situation. This podcast network, we all work together as a team, even though we're all working on different shows and different content.
Oh, we're all part of a family. We're a motley crew of renegade podcasters.
I mean,
which really sounds cooler than it actually is.
But
yeah,
to be fair, Tom and you, Nick, and I, like when we had our issues a little bit here, there, like when we were doing stuff.
Absolutely.
What,
I mean, what partnership does not? And but we've gotten through it.
Right. I'm just saying, like, there's no utopia, no utopian society that exists in this world. Anyone who knows a utopian society, please show it to me, because I bet you there is not.
But the perfect does not need to get in the way. The strive for the perfect does not necessarily need to get in the way of the strive for the necessary. And what is necessary at this point is him getting his head on straight. And Kyle realized that to his
credit.
Increasing credit.
And by the way, I see all the comments coming into the Her Show page. Everyone is being very nice, respectful to his situation. But anyone who has a problem with that, you're not welcome in this society or this network or this situation whatsoever.
I mean, I can't see why you would have a problem with it. I mean, what exactly is going on in your life that you need to tear down somebody taking the steps to be better?
Well, I'll give you some instances, not like actual examples, but look at the people who are in our industry who do podcasts or are influencers or have big followings. And I don't understand this for the life of me. Okay. So people are, like, who are big YouTube sensations. I'll give you an example, not saying that he has it, but like a Mr. Beast who has a huge following on social media. If he came out and said, tomorrow, I had a mental health situation I need to deal with, I guarantee you, there would be a subsection of that audience would say, "Wah! You have all this money. Wah!" Not that I'm saying they should, but there is always a subsection of a large crowd.
It's what have you done? It's you exist for my entertainment, and what have you done for me lately? And if you're not giving me it's entirely transactional. Not to say that these guys, these entertainment figures, podcasters are your best friends. I mean, if anything, it's because problems have come out of those kind of parasocial relationships. However, recognizing that the people who make these kinds of content are human and have human problems and make human mistakes.
And that's the problem. That's the problem here. People think that because they're a huge success and they made a lot of money and they have partnership deals and they're doing all this work and all this stuff, that they're not allowed to be human. Everyone is allowed to be human, whether you're a billionaire or you're somebody on the street.
Precisely.
And that's what I don't get here. Like, again, mental health is important. I'm glad he's finally getting the help. I spoke to him over the last couple of days. And actually, he's already working on some of his new content for his show. So check out the Her Show, also on Podcast Network. There's a lot of stuff coming. And I'll basically leave it at that. But I felt like that was important to discuss and just
mention before we go forward. But now that we have,
okay, now we can move on to some interesting stories, some fun stories, and just the plain awkward. But right off the bat here, as we're recording this news came down. Queen Elizabeth II died at 96 at Balmoral.
Balmoral in
Scotland.
Which is their estate in Scotland. I think it's that the family owns.
Yeah, the palace. Yeah.
So this, to me, I mean, I'm not.
Well, let's put it this way: we're not royal experts.
I'm not a royal expert, nor am I a royal enthusiast. I really look at it from an arm's length because it's like, the as a card carrying red blooded American, I really don't see the point in having a queen or a king or any kind of monarch, really. But
You know what? I should have gotten my friend Juliet Huddy, who I worked with at the radio station. Who she's like a royal of the royal expert. Like
so she's big into this stuff.
and I'm not saying it in a bad way. Like she just gets it. Like she
No. I completely get that, and you know what? I understand people's enthusiasm, but I just don't get it. So I just don't get Americans' obsession with it.
And by
But
the way,
I'm
we need to try and have her on. She could actually discuss a lot of this royal stuff. And actually, I tried reaching out to her. We still talk, and she has some new projects that she's working on that actually I wanted to have her on.
She's probably going to be busy the next couple of weeks dealing with this. But it seemed this to me, this news came down on Wednesday morning. Actually, no, Thursday.
Thursday morning. Yeah.
Thursday morning that she was in her advised to take a medical leave of absence or some kind of.
Well, she's been on medical exemption, medical absence for a while.
I don't know the way they treat, but her doctors were around her. But then you really started to see, if you were following it on social media, as I was, because I kind of couldn't sleep. So you started to see people the rumblings start to build on social media, on Twitter, and words like, "Oh God, here it comes," and you could tell when people started when you heard news that the family was starting to fly into Scotland to see her, that this was coming, and that it was the end. And I'm not one to use this pulpit, whatever pulpit I have, to speak ill of the dead. But I would advise that if you want to speak ill of the dead, just ask any Scotsman, ask any Irishman, ask any Kenyan, or ask any person of Indian descent what they think of the Queen, and I guarantee you they don't have a lot of nice things to say. But the woman, I mean, 96. We should all be so blessed to live that long.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, she was the Queen for 70 years.
Yeah, I think it was going to be 75 years this year, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, it's whatever, 70, 75. That's a lot. It's a long time.
She was crowned in 53. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a long time, and nobody expected her to rule anyway, because it was her uncle, I think, had abdicated the throne, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
See, this is where me not being an expert on this stuff is kind of failing me.
And you know what's kind of weird? Like, now they're saying Prince Harry actually showed up to the whole situation, and apparently Prince Harry is not really entangled with the family right now. Supposedly.
Well, that's the other problem that I have with this, because you're going to see the Queen shuffling off the mortal coil. The worst people are going to use this as an excuse to hammer Harry and Meghan.
Of course.
They're going to say, those two. Oh, they probably say a lot of not nice words about Meghan rather than Harry. I wonder why.
It doesn't help that we did a story a couple weeks ago where she's too worried about her podcast network and all this shit.
I mean, well, everybody and their moms has a podcast network nowadays, but she's just getting on the train. But you're going to see them get blamed for a lot of shit in the next, let's say, couple of weeks.
They've already been blamed for a lot of shit.
You're going to see a lot of bad takes on British Twitter. You're going to see a lot of bad takes from British media, the BBC, the tabloids. There's going to be a lot of finger pointing and blame gaming around here.
Forget it. The British media is worse than here.
Oh, the British tabloids are absolutely extra. They're compared to the British tabloids. TMZ is basically they're basically the fucking Pony Express.
I'll give you one. Essentially the equivalent in Britain or London is what?
It's the Sun, right?
Well,
The Sun of the Daily
no,
Mail.
I was going to say the Daily Mail. Yeah,
Yeah, the Daily Mail.
forget it. The Daily Mail is
Oh,
nuts.
well, they'll rip you apart if you even so much as look at them wrong.
Well, I had a friend that used to work at Daily Mail in the media business, and
those guys are a bunch of what? Those guys are a bunch of rabid dogs.
And he basically said that they didn't care about the whole news angle of reporting.
Oh, of course. I mean,
They'd rather post a bunch of videos with small dogs chasing a ball.
I mean,
that's what he told me, by the way.
Again, it's almost kind of refreshing to see that kind of honesty coming out of a news outlet to just say, you know what, we're not even gonna care about whether this is important, whether we have a standard to comport ourselves to. We're just gonna go straight to the dumpster. We're gonna go dumpster diving. We're gonna go dumpster swimming.
I mean, it's kind of like going to a pawn shop and like selling a fake item that looks like a real item. Like, it's more about the look rather than what it's going to do afterwards.
Yeah, it's more about the perception rather than how is this going to make us look, rather than what is this actually going to do.
I'll give you one more. When I look at TMZ and I look at Daily Mail, I think Daily Mail is absolute garbage compared to TMZ. TMZ has finally figured out, because over the years, you and I have talked about this a lot, TMZ was a garbage dump for a while. And
I mean, they still kind of are, but they
have
some kind of journalistic operating.
It seems like they finally figured out how to report properly.
How to report what they're reporting on is trash, but they're reporting on it in the correct, rigid J school way.
And the other ridiculous thing at times is they're sometimes the first source to a lot of things now.
Yeah, they usually get it first, which.
And a lot of times
it is amazing to me because Twitter kind of got this happening first.
And the weird thing is, like, people used to say, "Oh, when TMZ got it first, they probably made it up back in the day." Now it's legitimate when they get it first.
Yeah. Now it's legitimate, and the fact that the fact that the BBC anchors were already wearing black before the word had gotten out that she'd passed away.
I saw a bunch of stories like that. They were delaying like content on TV over there, and they were, I don't know, they were keeping certain things off air. Which now let me preface something also. There's a difference between the BBC, the British media, excuse me, and what goes on here. So in the British media, the government has a lot of control over what goes on the media.
Well, yeah. Well, the BBC is actually, it's kind of like PBS here, where it's publicly funded.
No.
Government funded.
But the government has control pretty much over everything that happens over there. It's over here. That's not the case.
It doesn't quite work the same way as
there's more filter over in London than there is here.
And believe me, they're not going to say anything that's really overtly critical of anything that the royal family kind of does, says, or what they're all about.
Well, let me correct one thing. On the talk shows and the radio, they don't have an FCC. They can pretty much say what they want. But when it comes to the
quorum dictates that they don't.
But when it comes to the Queen and when it comes to the royal family, you better watch what you're saying.
Yeah, and you're going to see a lot of that today. You're going to see a lot of that in the days going forward.
But all right. So wow, I'm surprised how much time we actually spent on that. I'm surprised how much you and I actually knew a little bit about that.
Well, that's pretty much the extent of my knowledge. So don't ask me anything else.
If you ask me anything else, I might have to go put technical difficulties and start searching stuff on here.
just have the Apple Beach, the beach ball just spinning and spinning and spinning.
I'm gonna go get the other elevator music. Dun, 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 dun. No. Anyway, all right. From the Queen to more serious issues. Ricky Martin. So We talked about this months ago, and
yes, we did.
Ricky Martin's nephew, basically, I shouldn't say basically, did come out and sue Ricky Martin for a lot of money and allegations of sexual abuse.
Which is, I can't tell you how serious that. I mean, you already know how serious that is.
This is a serious allegation, and I don't care if it's a kid or an adult or a senior citizen or whoever it is. I don't care. It's a pretty significant allegation to make.
Yeah, it is. And so this is Ricky Martin suing the nephew who sued him, alleging that the accusations led to him losing a lot of money.
So now,
suing him for libel, essentially.
So let's see. Ricky Martin filed a lawsuit Wednesday against his nephew. They accused him of extortion, malicious prosecution, abuse of law, and damages stemming from false allegations of sexual abuse. There's a lot going on there.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to unpack there, but the gist of it is you accused me of being a pedophile and an abuser, and I say it's not true, so now we'll go to court over it.
And it says Martin's lawyers said the claim by the nephew, which has since been recanted, has cost the singer millions of dollars in lost income.
Well, what we may find out, there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out in discovery anyway, if this does go in front of it, if this does end up going to court. So we're going to find out.
Well, it says the lawsuit filed in the U.S. Territory's Court of First Instance, which I don't even... do you know what that is? I don't even know. No. Alleges that Martin has been, quote, persecuted, besieged, harassed, stalked, and extorted by his troubled nephew for economic reasons. That's a lot of words right there.
Those are some pretty heavy accusations. So, I mean, you better hope and pray that there was no there. And I'm not saying that there is. It's just those are pretty serious accusations.
And it also says
to back it up.
It also says the lawsuit contends the harassment has continued even though Martin's nephew identified, I'll leave the name out, admitted under oath in July that he had never been sexually assaulted by the artist. Huh?
So yeah, that's the part where it gets kind of confusing.
And then it says the allegations cost Ricky Martin at least $10 million in lost income as a result of canceled contracts and projects, as well as $20 million in damages to his reputation, according to the lawsuit.
I can believe it.
The project's number, I believe. I don't know. You know this, and I know this. It's really tough to determine damages.
Yeah, especially since you don't know if you were actually going to get paid that much. Was there anything in writing, or was it just like a handshake agreement kind of thing?
So it says a lawsuit stated from October 2021 to January 2022. The nephew would send up to 10 messages a day to Martin, the majority of them meaningless diatribes without any particular purpose. This is the nephew to Ricky. It also accused the nephew of publishing Martin's private number on Instagram, which forced the singer to change his number.
So, yeah, this is going to end up being... We're going to find out a lot of stuff in discovery here, so let's...
And the last part, because I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't add this, it also said 2 restraining orders have previously been filed against the nephew in an unrelated stalking case.
Oh, God.
This is like skeletons in the closet coming out right now.
Yep.
I don't get it. I mean, is this money? Is that what you were showing me earlier? It's essentially a money grab?
I mean, it looks like that from the outside, but God knows at this point.
I mean, we've seen a lot of these cases before. We talked... one of the most famous cases we talked about this year, R. Kelly. So, you don't know what's true and what's false anymore these days. Doesn't matter who you are.
Exactly.
All right. let's move on from that. We'll move on from the confusing to the incredibly stupid. So I was talking to Nick about this topic before we came on here. And I said, for the first time ever, I have to defend somebody I absolutely hate. So Cumulus Media cuts ties with podcast movement over random Ben Shapiro blowback. Now, for most people who don't know what podcast movement is a what was the best way you put it, Nick? A podcast convention?
Like a podcast convention.
They do 2 of them a year, one in LA, one in Texas.
Kind of like a convention / networking event where people can, just go. Not that we've ever been there, but it's kind of.
I did the virtual one this year in California because of COVID. But like all the big companies like Cumulus, well, maybe not anymore, but Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the big companies are there. And a lot of times they do networking for jobs and different, you get to learn about the newest technology and all the podcast networking events. So Cumulus Media. Now I have to be careful in some aspects because, excuse me, this is the company I used to work for, but I could give 2 shits really because the company is odd in a lot of ways. And I think eventually they're going to end up under because they don't know how to run their company and their radio stations, but that's neither here nor there. So Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire, which is his company, which their audio and their podcast network is essentially under the umbrella of Cumulus Media, they decided to buy a booth at Podcast Movement. Now, we see big names show up at Podcast Movement. I told you when I went to the virtual one that was being held in California, Will Ferrell was there because he's got a podcast network with iHeartRadio.
Yeah, he does the Ron Burgundy podcast.
Right, and now it's grown into a gigantic podcast network because of it. And Ben was not even supposed to be at Podcast Movement. His partner called him up to do something else, and this is on his podcast, so this is public information. It's there on YouTube. And then they said, you know what? We're going to show up. Our Daily Wire booth is there, and we'll show up. And so there's a video of this. He shows up, and he basically is shaking hands with people and meeting and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, I don't know. I think she's a woman. Tweets out, essentially, and I don't have the tweet in front of me, so I don't know. This is just going at the top of my head. Well, why would he?
It was a transgender person, though, right?
I don't know. I don't know if I think
I don't want to misgender the person because that's not fair.
I think possibly it was a transgender person. I don't know. And she wrote this whole thing out saying, well, why is he here? Blah, 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 blah. I don't get it. It's horrible. Blah, blah. And he didn't do anything, by the way. Let me preface that first.
She wasn't really. It wasn't really in the sense that he did anything horrible lately. It's just that, if you don't like Ben Shapiro, you don't want him to show up anywhere.
So it was an odd situation. And then Podcast Movement, who runs this whole event and does a really good job with it, by the way, and gets all the big networks and companies to show up, decides to make a statement. And I'm trying to see. Let me see if I can find it. So, Podcast Movement organizers called their decision to sell the Daily Wire booth space, quote, a mistake. Conference organizers issued an apology the next day in a series of Twitter posts for selling exhibit space to the Daily Wire and for allowing Shapiro on the show floor, despite not being registered for the event. So, let me see if I have... Oh, that's interesting. So the tweets are now gone.
Of course.
So, well, the tweets of the person who is accusing Shapiro and all that stuff. Interesting.
She's accusing him of being a transphobe, basically, and all the gender critical nonsense he's put out, lately. I mean, it's hard to. How shall I put this without making the little twerp mad?
Oh, just make him mad. It's okay.
I don't care. I don't care for Ben Shapiro.
I don't either. I don't care either. And I had to sit there every day and run the local thing for the station I worked for when he was on the air.
I mean, But to be honest with you, of course, Cumulus was going to defend Ben Shapiro. They've invested how much money into the Daily Wire?
Oh, it's millions.
Exactly. So they're going to do what they're going to do and protect their golden twerp.
Well, it kind of makes sense if you're going to defend your guy that you paid money for.
You're going to defend your, but they're protecting their investment.
But that's any company. Any company would do that for their person that's being attacked.
Any company would do that, but the fact that it's him, and the fact that he probably, if this became a thing, he would not stop crowing about it for I don't know, the next decade. Because you don't want to give him that kind of ammunition, because he has the platform to make people's lives a lot more difficult.
You just hit the nail on the head. The biggest mistake podcast movement made was making the statement knowing that his audience is probably one of the largest political sectors.
Which, I mean, I don't like him, so I really wish it wasn't the case. But
he is in the top 10 of largest podcast networks.
I'm not gonna argue with the numbers here, but
And by the way, it
was foolish to expect that Cumulus and podcast media weren't going to invite him.
Well, podcast movement, but yes,
podcast movement weren't going to invite him.
No, but first of all, it's his company that was invited. He never was going to show up. His partner asked his partner who runs the business with him. He said, "Why don't you show up and just shake hands and whatever?" Which is fine. Doing nothing wrong there. I mean. So then Cumulus Media made a statement, which I found interesting. So Cumulus didn't just defend. They fired a warning shot towards podcast movement.
You know what? But if you're going to prove to me that you are, that you would treat all your other podcasters the same way, go to bat for them the way you go to bat for him.
Well, unfortunately, and I've told you this many times, when someone has a big audience and they're making advertisers a lot of money.
But therein lies the problem.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you that it's a problem. But here's what Cumulus said. So they fired back, quote, "At Cumulus Media, our tenet is that every voice matters, and we support conferences and trade events where different political viewpoints can be expressed and received with respect," the company said in a statement. Also, as such, we were dismayed and disappointed by podcast movement's handling of the reaction to our partner, top podcaster, and conservative talk leader Ben Shapiro's mere presence at the podcast movement, end quote.
Which, you're seriously getting your knickers in a twist over what one person said on Twitter? Seriously?
But that's no. That's not the problem. The problem is podcast movement took the one person's tweet, and then they tweeted out an apology based off that one person not being happy. So technically, podcast movement was a little bit out of line.
Honest to God, it's just whenever there's a lot of money involved, it's just it's foolish to expect integrity when there's a lot of money to be had.
I mean, and then Cumulus, and we know where this story goes. So Cumulus says it waited to end its relationship with the event after, quote, giving the leaders of podcast movement sufficient time to appropriately address their misstep. Well, podcast movement kind of doubled down on their own.
Of course.
With that statement, I just said basically say, well, we apologize for Ben Shapiro being there, and if someone's not happy, then we have to shut up.
Because if he makes it, because I guarantee you he would have been complaining about cancel culture for the next 6 years, and God forbid that is the one thing he has in his arsenal. That's the one bullet he has.
And by the way, and I said this to you, Nick, and I'm being completely transparent. What I said before we started, I hate the guy. I literally hate the guy.
I don't like him either. But you know what? But I'm not gonna sit here and defend him when the man makes more money. The man makes more money in a day than I'll see in a year.
Well,
so
It's not that I'm defending him. I think podcast movement took it a little too far, relying on one person's tweet that has 150 followers.
I don't think anybody should feel the need to support Ben Shapiro when Ben Shapiro is making money hand over fist. I'm sorry.
No. Again, not defending Ben Shapiro, but I understand where podcast movement's tweets were a little out of line.
No, I understand that. I understand. It's just I just don't. That's just the way I feel. I'm sorry.
Well, and first of all, I don't like my former company anymore. Let's put it that way.
I know you don't.
And again, when I heard the news that they were bringing him on as a syndicated host, and then we had to deal with it. What do you think I did? I bashed my head against the wall. So I just thought this was a unique story from the standpoint of, hey, well, you sold this is a classic case of Daily Wire was willing to pay for a booth, and now they're regretting it because they allowed them to pay for it. Isn't that funny how that works?
It is kind of funny how that works, isn't it?
That's a lot of events. Well, hey, this person paid, this controversial person paid to be at an event. Oh, wait, it caused controversy and it didn't go well? Shocker. You know what? This is like the present day Alex Jones.
I don't know if he's quite to that stage yet where he's,
No, I'm saying like having Ben Shapiro at your event is like having Alex Jones. It's going to make a scene. A lot of people are going to want to see him, and he's going to spew a lot of BS and act like he knows everything.
Yeah.
So,
I get it. No, I get that. I absolutely get that.
All right. Away from radio and that world to time to piss Nick off now. Dr. Oz alters stance on whether Trump won 2020 election.
Okay, so I've been meaning to talk about this for a while.
This is hilarious to me, by the way.
And it's not because I want to talk about Donald Trump. Believe me, it's absolutely the opposite. And you have to understand something, ladies and gentlemen. It's kind of how should I put this?
Crazy?
It's kind of stupid. So Dr. Oz is running for senator in Pennsylvania against John Fetterman, who's the Democrat. Progressive guy, huge guy. He's really popular on Twitter. Became a lot really popular during the last election cycle when he refused to he's actually the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania. And Dr. Oz, if you, of course, don't have to watch a lot of daytime TV, you would know that Dr. Oz is a former cardiothoracic surgeon.
I don't know. I lost track because would keep calling himself a different job title.
He kept saying he was a different thing every time. And
that's my thought. He's a cuckoo.
So he's running for lieutenant governor. No, he's running for senator in Pennsylvania.
No, he's running for senator. Yeah.
So he for a long time. Now refresh my memory. Because this is the political environment we live in. You have to if you're a Republican and supporter of Donald Trump, you're asked a question. You are definitely going to be asked a question at some point. Do you believe that the 2020 election was stolen?
Yes.
Because
that's going to be every Republican nominee, whether it's senator, whether it's governor, whether it's president, whether it's any job on the Republican side, you're going to be asked. So, unfortunately, I don't know. Did we get an answer? Oh yeah, that he altered his stance. Now, alter does not mean he completely changed his stance.
No, so he originally went one way in that Trump did not win the election, and now he's kind of he's kind of waffling. He's kind of fence sitting.
Well, it says here, Dr. Mehmet Oz, the Republican nominee for the U.S. Senate in Pennsylvania, said this week that he believes, quote, lots more information is necessary to determine whether Donald Trump was the actual winner of the 2020 election.
Which he's not trying to. He's trying not to piss off his. He's trying not to piss off his God Orange Julius over there.
And these quotes are hilarious. So he was being interviewed by Fox News. Shocker. He was asked, do you believe the 2020 election was stolen? So here's the answer he gave. Quote, I've been asked that question many times. I'm a doctor. I'm very precise with the words I use. There's lots more information we have to gather in order to determine that. And I'd be very, how do you say that word?
Remiss?
I guess remiss of gathering some. Serious? Is that how you say that? I'd be very serious of gathering some, he said. I was responded, quote, I think it would improve the process in general.
So you realize how weird that sentence is, right? I'm a doctor. I want to be as clear cut and scientific as I can. But here's this alphabet soup. I'm not going to bomb it forward.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Who's Line bit. Don't worry, I'm a doctor. That was from a game called Two Line Vocabulary.
You were a doctor once, though, but now you're a TV personality.
Well, technically, he's still a doctor. I'm sure he got the certification. He's technically still a doctor.
Oh yeah, there was a point he was a doctor. Now he plays a doctor on TV.
Quite literally,
he's definitely an accredited doctor, but now he just plays one on TV. But not that I'm sticking a horse in this race because I don't live in Pennsylvania. Although I'm really a fan of watching how John Fetterman and his social media team can basically just whip his ass.
Oh, me too.
Dr. Oz's ass from here to tomorrow. It's a fantastic sight to see. But you know what? Dr. Oz, I think he's kind of straddling because he originally ran as I'm the principled Republican. I'm a suit wearing, coffee drinking. I'm an intellectual.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a man's man. But now he's trying, in order to win the favor of the man who really holds the reins in this political party, he has to be crazier and crazier and crazier to capture the votes of crazy people.
So I'm going to sound the alarms on this one.
What he thinks crazy people are.
I'm going to sound the alarms. Because this next statement I'm about to read is going to make you crazy. So at an event with Senator Pat Toomey,
which is the man they're trying to replace because he's retiring.
Oz indicated that if he had been a senator on January 6, 2021, he would have voted to certify Biden's victory.
Oh, of course, because you got to play both sides there, eh, Ozzy?
Well, this is the Rudy Giuliani defense, where
it's like it's like trial by combat, and then you get him in front of a judge. I didn't mean to say that.
Please I didn't do it. Sorry.
Throw me in jail with the handcuffs and the toilet wine and the shaking in the prison libraries. Please, I don't do well in prison. I have a very fragile constitution.
No, my favorite was, I'm going out and defending Trump. The election was stolen. Oh, wait, I'm not his lawyer anymore. Ah!
Oh, God, my lawyer needs a lawyer.
Ah! I didn't do it.
Help. Someone help.
Wait, maybe I do need that job at the radio station because I can't afford to do anything else.
Oh, please don't. I mean, well, you would know.
Mm-hmm. I try to avoid that at all costs, but
it's just funny watching. It's just funny watching these people just twist themselves into rhetorical knots. They turn into pretzels trying to defend this shit.
I'd rather have the Wizard of Oz.
It'd be funny if it wasn't so goddamn sad.
I'd rather have the Wizard of Oz than Dr. Oz.
You know what? I don't know the Wizard of Oz's healthcare plan. He might have actually been in favor of single payer.
Well, no, he said follow the yellow brick road. That's actually more sensible than Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz would just try to sell you a product to use.
Yeah. In Munchkin Land, nothing is free.
Jesus. But
I'm surprised Dorothy the Scarecrow and the Tin Man didn't get their shit robbed as soon as
Oh God!
It's like they come to a wooded area and all of a sudden three munchkins jump out. One of them has a gun. It's like, empty your purse.
Oh my
I want it all. That's a nice looking heart you got there, Tin Man. Bring it forward.
Oh my God! But yeah, Dr. Oz doesn't have a chance in hell to win. Sorry, no way. It'll never happen. Hell will freeze over before Dr. Oz is the senator.
I wouldn't wait for hell to freeze over. It's just make sure you get a jacket first.
Yeah, it's a good point. And by the way, they said he's trailing by a massive amount of votes anyway.
Because he's fucking wrecked. It's like,
you know what? He should have just stayed on TV. He was probably making a decent amount of money.
Just take the cushy job, just showing up on Oprah ever so often, writing your books, peddling your bullshit snake oil cures, and you could have made a mint. And you have made a mint, and you could have kept making a mint, but now you have Dr. Oz woke up one morning and said, "You know what? I would like to pie myself in the face repeatedly for 6 months out of the year." No! Please punch me in the nuts several times.
I was going to use another word, but that's not very appropriate. I was thinking of a certain pie, but I'm not going to go there.
God.
But my point is, there's another big name that's running on the Republican side that really shouldn't be running for office.
Oh no, it's Herschel Walker you're talking about, isn't
Yes.
it? Oh God.
That's another name
God
that's another name that shouldn't be running for office.
You know what? I long for the days when Jesse the Body was literally the most far out that a politician could.
Well, wait a minute. You had the wrestler. What's his name that won office? Was it Ventura?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah, and that was bizarre, but he handled it way better than these guys would. But yeah, Dr. Oz, you have no chance. Go back to TV and sell your snake oil. All right, let's move on. And this one I'm just going to throw up there because Nick didn't get it at first. The great U.S. Open ball debate.
Now, it's not about the difference between men and women's tennis. No,
well, technically it is.
Not that kind of ball debate.
Wow. Wow, you actually beat me to the punch there.
Gotcha.
15 love. Anyway, tennis players are Goldilocks characters of sports, apparently.
So apparently that they're using the U.S. Open is going on right now in Astoria, Queens. Is that where Arthur Ashe Stadium is?
Yeah, it's in Queens, near Citi Field.
And apparently they're using different sized balls, as in tennis balls. Get your minds out of the gutter. I just came from there. We're using different sized tennis balls to compete with.
Right. So basically, and here's what's so crazy about this: the U.S. Open, is the only one that uses different tennis balls for the men's and women's draw.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's just. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. I mean, I'm still working on the conspiracy theory that MLB juices their own baseballs. So,
well, what do you think they did in Colorado and what was the other one? Arizona, or where they basically had to dehumidify everything so it didn't fly out of the ballpark?
Absolutely. But you know what? When you have third parties, though, I mean, MLB does. I mean, the U.S. Open does not own the ball manufacturing facility.
No, it's Wilson.
So, yeah, it's Wilson and it's Spalding, or is Wilson the official?
Wilson is for tennis balls. Yeah.
Yes, but so they don't own the ball manufacturers. So it's hard enough to prove malfeasance.
I think it's either Wilson or Penn. I think Penn is another one that does tennis.
I mean, you played tennis, I didn't. So
those are the two that come off the top of my head. But Wilson has been the professional brand for a long time. Long time.
Yeah, but it's harder. I think it's harder to prove that they've been tampered with or.
Well, they're not saying they're being tampered with. They're saying that they're not happy with the fact that the women are using one tennis ball and the men are using another one.
I mean,
And the physical features are different. They're different tennis balls.
maybe it's some kind of misogynistic reason that apparently the women can't hit it harder, which is bullshit. If you just saw Serena Williams, believe me, she could probably break that damn thing.
Well,
There are a bunch of women. Naomi Osaka, Maria Sharapova, fantastic athletes. So don't tell me.
that's a weird name to choose, considering that she was a cheater. But anyway,
Still, the talent was there. The strength was there.
right. And it's interesting. It says the men at the U.S. Open use what is known as a quote extra duty ball, which means the felt on the outside of the ball, which is the joke they used to say it's the hair of the tennis ball, is woven slightly more loosely than the regular duty ball that the women use.
This story is just daring me to make. It's hard to not make dirty jokes about this because, first of all, we're talking about hairy balls, and then one of them is the duty ball. I mean, come on! It's like you're not giving me a chance here. I'm trying to be serious here, but you know what? You're not letting me.
This is not a serious story. It's not
talking about your hairy green balls, Kermit.
Oh, green is a life for me.
Those balls are more yellow, right?
Yeah, actually, all like the sun, hot and busted. I don't know. This is not a serious story. This is a funny story, in my opinion. And
still, it's hard not to make those jokes, though.
But you know what's so funny about this?
Like an immature mind to the guy who still laughs at stuff that a 6-year-old finds.
No, you laugh at fart jokes.
What's wrong with laughing at fart jokes?
No, I'm just saying. But
everybody finds fart jokes funny. Race, creed, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity. It's one thing that all of humanity can agree on.
I guess.
Are funny.
But here's what makes the story ridiculous, though, and I laugh at it. You ever notice that in individual sports, when something doesn't go your way, they have to make an excuse and blame it on something?
The John McEnroe effect.
So some of the female tennis players were complaining that they were eliminated because they lost at a turn. Well, it's the tennis ball's fault. It's the type of tennis ball we have to use.
It's the ball, or it's the line judge, or
actually
weren't working, or
they can't use that excuse anymore because they don't have line judges at the U.S. Open anymore.
Yeah, they do it. They do it They do it digitally, don't they?
They now use basically the challenge system for everything now.
So I mean, still.
But my favorite is I'm just reading a lot of these quotes, and they're saying, "Well, it's the tennis ball." And I'm like, shut up.
I mean, I really don't think Rafa Nadal had a problem with it when he got his ass kicked.
I mean, look at Francis Tiafoe, we have an American like all the way in this far in the tournament for the first time in like since 2007.
He's fantastic, by the way. I just got a chance to see him play. He's great.
I don't know how well you know his story, though, but his father, I think, did maintenance at a tennis facility, and that got Tiafoe, his son, in the door to play tennis.
Wow, that actually is a good story.
And that led him to the tennis career, and the rest is pretty much history there.
Yeah, but he's fantastic. But we're getting on topic. But the point is that, I mean, they're gonna argue. They would argue about anything. They would argue about the color of the sky if they could.
I just laugh at this story because I think it's really funny that people are looking at the size and the weight of balls to determine how they're going to play on the court.
You shall all gaze in horror at my giant nuts.
Oh, Jesus. What is happening?
All right. You know what? Switch the segment before I can't stop myself.
All right, we'll talk about something you like talking about. The movie theater business.
Yes. Oh, God.
The dying movie theater business.
Don't say that.
It's dead.
Oh God!
When's the last time you were at a movie theater?
Back in May.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's
When
not
Doc-
the answer I
when
was
Doc-
expecting you to say.
When Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness came out, I decided to stock up on my N95s and go see it, and I didn't regret it.
I think the last time I went to a movie theater was feels like 4 years ago at this point.
Well, then again, you don't watch all the nerd shit that I do. So.
No, but I like movies. I just don't like the movie theater. The only thing I like about the movie theater is the popcorn.
You do know that's not real butter, right?
No, I don't use butter.
Yeah, I know, but the stuff that they put on the popcorn is not butter.
No, but I'm saying you could get it plain without the butter on it.
I know you can get it plain, but I'm just saying if you get it plain or with butter, the butter is not butter.
Oh, it's artificial. I know.
It's called Flavorcol.
Oh, it's artificial shit. I know. My friend.
So is that why you get it plain?
No, I just like the popcorn plain. That's how I've always been.
Who doesn't like their popcorn buttered?
I don't. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because who doesn't like their popcorn buttered?
I never have.
You're not on a diet, so I mean, but
Oh, I'm trying to lose some weight, but I've never liked it.
we're getting off track here.
Actually, let me just say one more thing. I don't actually like a lot of salt either.
That's understandable. That's definitely understandable. It's just, I mean, isn't that the point of popcorn, that it can be a vessel for other things?
Well,
it can be a way to get butter into your face faster.
No, you know what's good? And I know we're going off on movie tangent about food, but my point is, I like the Bunch of Crunch.
Oh
thing.
yeah,
like it's not the real crunch candy; it's the little pieces, and you get it.
You only ever see Bunch of Crunch in a movie theater,
and you get so much in the package. Also, when you get it,
M&M's too.
M&M's too. All right, I'm done ranting about movie theater food, but Regal Cinemas, which has been around for when we were kids.
Yeah, they've been around since the 80s, I think. Well, most movie theaters nowadays are chains. Your AMCs, your Regals, your was it Cinemark? I think it is. But,
yeah, let's put it this way: the movie theater business is not a good one anymore. It's just not. Unfortunately, it's dying.
I mean, you say that, but then Top Gun makes almost $1 billion domestic.
Nick, when you have streaming services everywhere, you don't need a movie theater anymore.
See, I don't agree though. I don't agree.
Where are most movies going now?
Most movies are going to streaming, but they start out in the movie theater.
Actually, and the one thing I'll give you a defense towards is that COVID kind of pushed that.
COVID kind of screwed that up.
No, I'm saying COVID made it happen faster.
COVID made it happen faster. But you have to understand something. There is something to be said about the communal experience of sitting in a theater and listening to people go crazy. I can remember when I saw, just use a more nerd example. You might not know what I'm talking about, but Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame.
I know what you're talking about.
Seeing those movies opening, or not close to opening night, packed house. That place was like a fucking soccer stadium. I have never heard a non-sporting event get that loud.
Well,
because people were just having the time of their life, and you can't get that when you're sitting at home.
You're not the
be said about that.
You're not the midnight. You're not the midnight release guy, are you?
No,
because I never understood people who did that, like the midnight release.
No, if it's something I really want to see, I'm going to go opening weekend.
Right, but I'm saying I don't understand the people who like go in line at midnight and they want to be the first to see it. Like, who cares?
I mean, you have to care about that kind of stuff to be able to see. You don't, so you wouldn't.
No, but I've seen plenty of movies and like an opening weekend.
I know you've seen plenty of movies, but you don't have the kind of love for the nerd shit that I do. I mean, I grew up. I still read that stuff.
I mean,
I'm immersed.
No, that makes sense. I mean, but I don't know. I just now that streaming is everywhere, Like,
I mean, this, them filing for Regal filing for chapter
well,
11 is not.
Shine World Group that owns Regal is what filed for bankruptcy. So, because that's what I wrote here, the Regal Cinema owners filed for Chapter
So
11.
this probably means a corporate restructuring, but then they end up getting bought off by some venture capitalist vultures in suits and just end up cutting all the jobs and stripping it down for parts and selling it and taking the money, because that's what late stage capitalism is all about. You're basically sucking all the life out of everything like you're a goddamn vampire. So I'm hoping that we're not in that stage yet.
I don't know. It's kind of bizarre. Like, I'm reading some of the. So it says the group Chapter 11 companies. The group Chapter 11 companies enter the Chapter 11 cases with commitments for an approximate 1.94 billion debtor in possession financing facility from existing lenders, which will help ensure Signworld's operations continue in the ordinary course while Signworld implements its reorganization. 1.94 billion. That's a lot of money.
No, that's a lot of money. So you know what? It's a part of. It's something that is. Look, it's not gonna end up being a good thing.
This
I'm
this
sorry
is
that
just
I'm being very simple, but still.
this is delaying the inevitable.
I mean, I
It
should hope
is.
not.
Movie theaters are going to be are not going to exist in like the next 3 to 5 years. I'm telling you. Wouldn't you rather just be able to watch the movie in your house? You don't have to worry about people stepping all over you in sticky movie theater floors and
Yes, but there is something to be said about going to a movie theater and watching a packed house go crazy.
yeah, but then I also find it annoying like when people are talking through the whole movie and I'm like, oh, it's so annoying. I don't know. But
Moving on.
all right, let's have some fun with reality TV. Oops, that's not reality TV. That's reality TV. And no, we're not talking about the Kardashians. So get out of the gutter.
But join us in the desert, because this is where. So Nick just directed my attention to this before we went on. And for those of you who don't know, this special ops reality show, did they give a name for it?
It's Special Forces: The Ultimate Test.
Which is going to be airing on
Fox.
Of course. So
Which you don't end up on Big Fox often with a game show.
You get a bunch of B, C, D, and Z list celebrities, take them out into the desert.
Some of these are big names, by the way.
Yeah. You take them out into the desert and you go through special forces training.
And who can survive? Who can survive?
Training that Army Special Forces go through.
Yeah, and so Jamie Lynn Spears, the sister of Britney Spears, the whole controversy we talked about with the book. She is one of the 16 celebrities that were chosen. And it says Jamie Lynn and her 15 famous counterparts will try to survive demanding special forces training exercises out in the desert with ex-special forces operatives running the camp, where toilets are literally just holes in the ground and beds consist of only a sheet over a metal bar.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you really wanted to, if you were watching a movie about the military and you said, maybe I could do that, yeah, this is going to disabuse you of that notion.
And it also says the only way for the celebrity contestants to leave is by giving up, getting injured, or being kicked out by staff sergeants.
So, putting aside the obvious artifice of it all, because we all know that, reality TV is anything but that. It's kind of hilarious. It's probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, where it's like, yeah, you're going through special ops training. What's next? You're going to learn how to kill a man with your bare hands?
Yeah, that's what I don't get here. But
Because that's part of special ops training too. You have to train with weapons.
wait. You want to hear the rest of the names? There's some funny names on here. So, Mel B,
The former
Spice,
Spice Girl.
right, and she's been on judge on all the talent shows. Hannah Brown, Montel Jordan,
Oh God.
Kenya Moore, Dr. Drew, because
Dr. Drew. Yeah.
he's going to be busy giving a lecture on sexual and mental health rather than training.
Oh God.
Mooch, Anthony Scaramucci.
Oh my God.
Well, he's not busy with his crypto investments. Tyler Florence, Beverly Mitchell, and Kate Gosselin.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be able to watch Dr. Drew try to gouge someone's eyes out.
Oh, wait, there's more. There's a bunch of former and current athletes competing as well. So, by the way, that puts you at a disadvantage right off the bat. Danny Amendola, the former Patriot and Ram, and
wide receiver.
Dwight Howard, because he's a reality show in his own right. Gus Kenworthy, Carly Lloyd, Nastia Lukin. That's the former Olympian, right?
Yep.
And Mike Piazza.
So you got your athletes, and they probably got a good chance of surviving, quote unquote, because nobody's gonna die doing this.
I'm going to watch this though. I actually will watch this.
Just go for the full War Games experience and just have them shoot at each other with live ammo. Or you know what? Just give half of them blanks and the other half blood bags. But don't tell them that they have blanks.
But I'm laughing at this because I actually think this is going to be entertaining. Just because it'll be funny to see all these celebrities fall on their asses and get yelled at, by the staff sergeants. Come on, pick it up. Left, right, left. God. I mean, hopefully they don't get their teeth punched out, right?
Or, you know what? You haven't lived until you've taken a shit in a hole in the ground.
But speaking of...
Am I a beaver?
Yeah, maybe. Just chewing up a bunch of wood. Anyway, speaking of teeth. Now, I thought this was great. We don't do these stories very often. Ty Cobb... dentures are up for auction.
So Ty Cobb, the legendary Detroit Tigers second baseman?
First baseman, no?
Was he?
That's bad that we have a sports podcast. We don't know that.
I'm not a Detroit Tigers fan.
I thought he was a first baseman. I could have sworn he was.
Center fielder.
Oh, okay.
We were both wrong. So, legendary Detroit Tigers center fielder Ty Cobb, probably one of the greatest major leaguers to ever play the game, and a man whose own history is problematic, to say the least.
Yeah.
His dentures are now up for auction.
By the way, that's disgusting, by the way.
Also, what are you going to do with them?
What, are you just going to put them on a display?
Unless you're going to do like a weird puppet show. It's like, hi.
I was just...
Hi, everybody, and this is Ty Cobb's dentures. Hi, everybody.
You sound like Mr. You sound like Mr. Gruden's Neighborhood. Wait, can you get the sock puppet and Ty Cobb's dentures and you have a show?
Get that image out of my head.
That'd be a two-person show. Actually, you can't say person because they're not people. Two-object show. So, my question is, do you remember the Honus Wagner card that they called a T206?
Yeah.
That's do you know why they keep putting that on rare cards and stuff from baseball? Do you know?
Because there weren't that many of them made, right?
But what's T206? That I haven't figured out.
I don't know.
I'm trying to look that up as we speak. But they keep putting that on like rare baseball artifacts.
They're a set of cards issued to tobacco and cigarette packs of cigarettes and other tobacco products.
So they're calling this a T206, but this is not a card. So how could it be a T206?
It's kind of a card, but it's not like a Topps baseball card that you would find like in a box of, or like a pack of bubble gum.
So it says the Tai Cobb T206 is the holy grail of collectors, but for as much as the card is worth, it's not a card.
It's technically a card, so just go with their terminology.
It could be worth up to millions. About 50 reportedly exist. Wait, 50? If you're now looking for something truly unique, yeah, this is truly unique, all right. There's another piece of memorabilia that recently hit the block. Cobb's dentures. Oh, they're saying the card there's more of. Okay, got it. So it says SCP Auctions currently has Cobb's chompers, top and bottom, on the block, along with the, quote, original plaster denture holder and brass opening device.
Like, seriously, somebody stole his dentures right off his corpse?
I don't know. So it says, after Cobb's death in 1961, the teeth were preserved. Ty's biographer, Al Stump, held the teeth for years before unloading them at Sotheby's in 1999 to the current co-signer who held the dentures for 22 years. What?
God, I don't even want to know.
Okay. Speaking of Cooperstown, in June 2001, the teeth went on display at the Hall of Fame. So they were borrowed for the Hall of Fame. I mean, I've heard of gloves and jerseys and cleats but dentures?
I mean, what's next? Are you going to be is somebody going to be sawing off his dick?
No, you had to go. You had to be that extreme. So it says the auction, which ends. It'll be over by the time this airs. Already has a nearly $10,000 bid, with 7 total bids. I don't know. I'm lost. Are you lost? Because I'm lost.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost.
All right.
You know what? It's just I don't get it.
All right. We'll finish this episode up with the 2 funniest stories that I left for last. You ready, Nick?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So let's start with Spitgate.
So, I've been meaning to talk about this because I am way too terminally online. I really need to get off Twitter. So, Chris Pine and Harry Styles have this movie out called Don't Worry, Darling, directed by Olivia Wilde. Now, for those of you who aren't fluent in this kind of stuff, which I really envy you because I hate the fact that I know this stuff. So Olivia Wilde directed a movie. She left her then husband Jason Sudeikis for Harry Styles, who was in the movie. Even though he was being replaced in that role, he was replacing Shia LaBeouf in that same role, and she had said to the press for such a long time that she fired him because of the allegations of abuse he had against his girlfriend at the time. He goes to do an interview, a podcast interview, where he said, she didn't fire me, I quit. And of course, he had receipts with him. He had text chains, he had emails, and he had a video message that Olivia Wilde sent to him. So basically, there's that. And then there's the other thing that one of the other co-stars in the movie, Don't Worry, Darling, Florence Pugh, who you might have seen in the movie Black Widow, she apparently did not like did not like Olivia Wilde that much, because apparently she's friends with Jason. The rumor is that she's friends with Jason Sudeikis, and there's this whole different. I feel like in those conspiracy movies where you have all the pictures up against the wall, and all this chalk and all just drawing straight lines out of everywhere. So Fast forward to the Venice Film Festival.
That's my thought.
Harry Styles is sitting next to Chris Pine, and there's this entire movement online that is studying a 5-second piece of footage where it looks like Harry Styles has spit on Chris Pine. And apparently it's connected to all this Olivia Wilde nonsense that I just told you. Now, the reason why I know all this crap is because a lot of the people that I follow on Twitter are film journalists, film critics, and the like. And these guys are fucking lunatics. These guys are fucking losers with the way they First of all, I've seen people go over this frame by frame as if it was the fucking Zapruder film. As if it was a frame of JFK's head exploding, trying to solve his assassination. So this, ladies and gentlemen, the conclusion that I have come to, and this is a conclusion that I've reached over the last 36 hours, is that who fucking cares?
Let's see.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
I mean, look at my co-host here. His eyes are starting to glaze over just as I'm trying to grasp at straws, trying to explain this stuff.
Usually, I'm the one who's trying to explain something to you, and I don't get this.
But this is pretty much this is Chris Pine stands saying that Harry Styles spit on him, even though there's no proof. That you can tell by the position of his lip. It's like, there's explanations here and explanations there, and there's this entire fandom just going at each other on Twitter. It's like, don't you people have fucking lives?
Nope. They don't have lives. You're asking people to be logical.
This is like QAnon for middle-aged women.
Oh, Jesus.
That's what this is. You're basically, then if this means, and that means this, and that means this, and if he said this, then that means that.
No, it's more like the Me Too movement.
Oh, no. It's not like that. Oh, no.
No, I'm just saying, because what you just said, well, you said this, and then you really meant this, and blah, 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 you're canceled.
No, believe me, well, it's kind of like that, but it's infinitely stupider. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just felt like I needed to bring this to your attention as a sort of a public service announcement.
Well,
really, for your public health, I would really like
public health.
We at Beyond the Bench, and by extension, those of us at Empty the Bench Podcast Network would like our loyal viewers to know that none of this shit matters. And instead of worrying about whether Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine, I would advise you, as a quasi-semi-medical professional, kinda, if you squint, to do anything else. And I mean anything else. You could mow your lawn, you could play cards, you could play with your children, you could play with your grandchildren, even if they don't exist. You can watch TV, you can go take a shit, you can go out to dinner, you can frolic through a field of flowers. You can do anything you want. Just don't focus on this.
I have
a life ahead of you. Live it.
I have a public service announcement that can end this.
RELAX.
Precisely.
All right, we saved the best for last. We saved the best for last. Now, Tai Emery, who is a bare-knuckled boxer, if that's what you want to call her.
Yes, that's what you can call her, and I really would be careful about talking bad about a woman who could probably break us both in half.
Oh, stop. So Tai Emery, who is a bare-knuckle boxer.
Caution, my boy.
Well, she's mostly from the OnlyFans world. That should tell you everything you need to know.
So, Tai Emery, and this ties to us kind of tangentially.
Yeah, so...
Tangentially? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So this story is bizarre because Tai Emery just randomly decided to be part of the bare knuckle boxing. Basically, anyone who couldn't make the UFC went to this. And so she's fighting, and I don't know the name of the person. And she knocks her opponent out. Then she jumps
Knocked him right the fuck out.
No, just knocked her out. One. And she decides to jump up on the top rope and basically pull her shirt up and expose her breasts.
And flash the crowd, essentially. Now, this has to do with us in one kind of weird way.
So, do you want an update on the post?
Yes, I would.
We are about to...
Let's explain the post first.
Oh,
context is necessary, so let's explain what happened.
So, I a lot of times, like on our... And this is for our other show, at ETB Sports. Go watch Empty the Bench every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Go watch that.
Yep. Pluggity plug.
Yeah. And I decided I saw this weird video. So like I'll embed on Twitter some weird videos and I'll write some funny captions on them. So
it's kind of the reason why we do what we do.
Right. So I see this video. One, I see it trending on social media. I'm like, whoa, what the hell is that? And two, I'm like, all right, I can have some fun joking around with this, which is dangerous at times. But so I go to write victory formation. At Tai Emery was at the top of her game, defeating Rung Aran Kanuchi. I'm sure I totally botched that name. But top was in quotes.
So your classic Nick Morgasen pun. So that's where we kind of left it.
But and I just said, all right, maybe it'll get a few thousand. We've had a few posts, impressions hit over 10,000 before. It's happened.
It has happened.
But now I look back at it, 23 retweets and 81 likes later. And we're about to hit 95,000 Twitter impressions.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to you really want to get those impressions numbers up, just go for the straight smut.
Sound the alarms!
I mean, seriously, we've been working at this. We've been trying to build a podcast network for close to 6 years.
Empty the Bench is that old.
6 years. Podcasting in one form or another for about 6 years now. In fact, it'll be 6 years this December. But we've never had a post have that many Twitter impressions.
This is going to be our first 100K post.
Of course, this one had to be it.
And I was just like, wait, what? And I see it hit 10,000. Then I see it hit 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. And I'm like, oh God, what is going on here? What did I do? Like, then it's going up 50,000, 60,000. I'm like, oh God, what did I do?
So I really do need to let me just put that out there that I kind of do feel like a creep.
Stop.
It's hard not to feel like a creepy creepazoid when you do these things. Because
but wait a minute.
We're kind of ogling. We're not that we're ogling, but we're kind of. It kind of feels like we're ogling over a woman's breasts. And
stop. She did it in a public place where everyone could see it.
It's still look. I know it doesn't make sense to you, but to me, it just seems a little creepy.
We're not doing anything. It's not like we're saying, "Oh God, we're not doing that." Like it's technically a news story. I hate saying that, but like
I know it's
so
technically a news. It's creepy.
No, I understand.
No, but it had to be that one. Not any of the people we've interviewed. Not any of the news we've broken. Not any of the reporting we've done or the rants we've gone on, or even the points we've made. No, tits were what took us over the edge.
But let's get to the actual headline of this story now. Now that we gave you context, so Tai Emery's OnlyFans page exploded by over 6,000%. No, that's not a typo.
So did she already have an OnlyFans page after?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so she created one after this happened, or
no? She had it. She had it already.
So maybe this is just like a viral marketing stunt.
I mean, the way she jumped up on the top rope and basically she knew what she was doing.
I mean, I can't. I mean, if she's the one who decides to do it, all the power to you.
I'm just telling you, she knew what she was doing. I mean, I'm looking at just some of the information. So, Emery's OnlyFans page saw a 62-fold increase in fans paying to access her content, or a 6,150% increase. That's nuts.
You know what? People always talk about what they want integrity out of their fighters, or they want combat sports to have respectability, kind of like boxing used to have.
Wait, listen to this though. If you're doing the math, Tai Emery charges $10 a month to access her content. Last week, she was bringing in about $400, and it's money she's relied upon to survive, which is kind of weird. That's a whole nother conversation we can have about OnlyFans. Now, Ty's going to be raking in around $25,000 a month, or $300,000 per year.
Which is more money than you can make bare knuckle boxing.
But think about that. $25,000 a month. That's crazy.
They don't. People don't want integrity in combat sports anymore.
No, they don't want integrity. They want this.
They want this. They want punching, and they want nudity. So
And they want money.
They want punching, they want money, and they want nudity. So whichever order you can give them that.
I don't get it. And apparently, so they also ask, did the R-rated celebration get Ty in any hot water with the BKFC honchos? The answer is no. Shocker, right? They probably loved all the viral attention they got from that, right?
I mean, I didn't see them complaining about it.
And then there's a quote here. It says, quote, "I've been completely enabled to continue to be myself, and so I shall." That's dangerous. That's dangerous. So she doesn't care that she did that whatsoever.
No, I can't imagine.
And
maybe the whole bare knuckle boxing thing was just a viral marketing stunt for the OnlyFans page.
So here's another quote. "For sure, I'm trying to get it to a point where maybe there's like going to be a reflection of a sea of titties just looking back at me like this army of salute from men to women."
Okay.
That sounds like a little much. Just now, boxing Twitter was hilarious, and we'll end on this because this episode's been a little long. But boxing Twitter was hilarious because they were saying, well, men box without shirts on. Why can't women do it? I'm like, are you serious? Are you kidding?
Again, it's hard. It's hard to ask that you can't look. He knew what he was doing. I mean, he was being a creep.
What do you mean? What, wait. Oh, you're talking about the Twitter people. But a bunch of people were saying that. Well, there was a lot of women. Well, men box without their shirts on. Why is it such a big deal with what she did? And I'm like, it's kind of weird, kind of creepy. Why would you lift your shirt like that? I'm trying to make sense of something that I probably shouldn't be, right?
Yeah, I think you're looking way too into this. Because God knows there was nobody involved in this that thought about it for more than 10 seconds.
It's like the Beach Boys song, "God Only Knows."
Yep.
Nope, we can't play that. That's a licensing issue. Anyway.
No, we're going to get copyright struck for that. But yeah, so we
made it to the end of this episode somehow. This was a fun episode, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, this was kind of crazy. It got crazier as it went along.
But it started with, unfortunately, the passing of the Queen of England. And
it ended with a pair of bosoms. as she would have wanted.
Jesus. But make sure you like Tai Emery says that she wants all her followers on OnlyFans. Make sure you follow us on social media. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. Hit the big red button below this video and all our videos because you can get Beyond the Bench, Empty the Bench, Game On, The Hearst Show, Living Life, and we have a few other shows starting soon. Ooh, did I say that out loud?
Fruity cereal as well.
Fruity Cereal, which is doing well, and new shows. Psst, new shows. Yes, I'm saying that with emphasis,
Yes.
including a show that's going to be starting right after Halloween. That's a little teaser. But yeah, youtube.com/ETV Network.
Keep it to this channel if you don't want to miss out. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok at Beyond the Bench 1. You can also follow us to the podcast network itself at ETB Network. You can follow myself at Nick Writes Words. You can follow Mr. Nick Morgasen at Morgasen Radio on Twitter. So that is going to do it for this week's edition of Beyond the Bench. And for my venerable co-host, Mr. Nick Morgasen, I'm Nick Fodera, and I'm saying good night, everybody. See you back on the bench.
More shenanigans. We'll see you next week, everybody.